thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me and to hear more about Sweden. Just to start off, a small introduction to our team. We're 6 people. This office is based in Copenhagen. We have a project manager in Stockholm as well. We started as a corporate entertainment company and has now moved since 6 years into a DMC and event company as well, doing events across Denmark and Sweden. So today, what I'm going to talk about is first, I'm going to talk about Stockholm, explaining a bit about that and how Stockholm works in the summer, because that's when we recommend people to go there from April until September. And then I'm going to explain you a bit more about Kiruna, which is the city that we host our groups in the Swedish part of Lapland as well. And let's just jump straight into it. First of all, here are a few things that we think defines Stockholm and what makes it a great incentive destination. So Stockholm is actually built on 14 islands, which means that its capital is very unique. It has the nature and the outdoor experiences just outside the doorstep almost. You can go into the archipelago, which is all these small islands. You can go in within 20 minutes by boat from the city center. So you can actually do breakfast in the morning. You can do private island hopping afterwards. Something that's also quite unique for Stockholm is the midnight sun. The midnight sun is something that, of course, takes place in the summer. You have really, really long days. You have lots of daylights, which means that you can actually extend the program quite a lot. You can make quite a few things within the day because you will have the light during the day. Fika is something that's really part of the Swedish culture as well. This is where you meet for a cup of coffee and a sweet pastry. This is really embedded into the Swedish culture. And this was something that was actually started back in the days when coffee was illegal in Sweden. So they met up privately in people's houses to drink coffee and have a snack and hiding from the authorities. So they've kept this, but now it's legal, so you can do it. You don't have to hide in someone's living room anymore. Sustainability. Sweden is one of the most sustainable countries really in the world. They work a lot with wind power. They work a lot with water as a hydropower as well. And they work a lot with solar. So this means that it creates a really green destination, and they try to use as much local produce as possible. Cultural heritage. It has a strong cultural and historical site. It's a really known destination for some of the best museums and also the royal family, the Swedish royal family. So yeah, this is also a big part of Stockholm. And this was also about Stockholm. Just a few more pictures. The first experience I'm going to talk about is the Midsummer. Midsummer is where the Swedes celebrate the middle of the year. This is a big tradition. It's the biggest tradition for sure in Sweden. This is kind of the same as when you celebrate the middle of the year. I'm sure you do that in Germany as well. One of the best ways of doing this, or we think one of the best ways of doing this, is chartering a boat and then go out to one of the private islands that we can have access to. And here we will have a full-on midsummer party. You will be able to create the midsummer stang, which is the one that you see on the picture on the right. This is the traditional one that you make together, and then you raise it and you do dances around it, and you do all these different it's called a maypole, and you have flowers in your hair, and you have garden games, and you do a long table dinner outside if the weather permits. Otherwise, we can quickly set up a tent, and then usually we bring the groups back by boat, and then you can do a nightcap at one of Stockholm's many rooftop restaurants or rooftop bars. And for this, we can also, of course, bring entertainment, which can be traditional Swedish music, traditional Swedish dancing, and there will be plenty of things to do. So this is to create an actual midsummer party in Stockholm, and we can, rather than going into a themed party, we're actually creating the whole thing on site. So yeah. Another thing is, I mentioned that the nature is really close to Stockholm, so of course we will also be able to do outdoor cooking. This is Elle. She's from Ukraine. She's a TV chef in Sweden, and we have a partnership with her where we can bring groups into her forest and her land. She has a space 30 minutes outside of Stockholm, which is really, really deep into the forest. And here she learns everything about foraging, picking foods in the forest, cooking over fire, and all these different things that you would need for really getting into nature and working with nature as well. This can be done in many ways. We can do it as a half day. You can do it for a few hours. You can do it for lunch, dinners. You can also come into Stockholm if you want to do it in, let's say, in a park or something like that. She can move around. She can theme it as well, so we can do Viking dinners, and her and her staff will be dressed in Viking attire as well. So to make that even more special. Staying on the theme of fika, which is the one I talked to you about, the forbidden cakes and coffee. It's part of the institution, and instead of just going to, we can always go into a regular restaurant to grab a bite to eat and some coffee, but we would rather do it like a floating and make it an experience. So you're actually slowing down, you're getting out of the city, and this is also something that fika is very important. It needs you to slow down. You need to do it in a slow pace. So we will bring groups on wooden boats and bring them to one of the restaurants in the archipelago, where they can relax and they can have a look at the scenery as well and do some fika there as well. It's a simple concept, but it feels very Swedish and it's very authentic to the region. So it's embedded in their culture and being part of that culture as well when you travel there. So I think lots of you know ABBA, which is probably the biggest musical name that came out of Sweden. It's one of the biggest cultural exports. Everyone around the world knows their music, knows the people. And what we usually do is we can actually create, apart from the ABBA Museum, which is in Stockholm, we can do ABBA-themed evenings. We can do with the music, we can do with cover bands, we can do with costumes, and you can theme the whole thing around an ABBA evening. And on the right, you see the Vasa Museum. This is the 17th century warship, which took forever to build, and when they put it in the water, it sank after 140 meters or something. So it sank immediately after they built it. So this is really well preserved wooden ship from the 17th century, where we can do candlelight dinners around it, up to 700 people, but also for less and more intimate settings. So this is also just to bring the part of the Swedish culture into your evening as well. So whether the group is interested in music or history, Stockholm gives unique attractions. We can always add an exclusive layer around it as well. One of the highlights, Älvsvik Herrgård. This is a great example of getting the group out of the city without going too far. This is 20 minutes from Stockholm city, but you get the nature and you get the exclusive settings, and we can theme these dinners or events or garden games or outside events to whatever is really your needs. But this is a really exclusive destination because you can actually park boats right outside, and the group can walk up to the manor and do some really exciting things there as well. This was quickly about Stockholm. What we then get into now is the cold north, which is Kiruna. Kiruna is one of the northernmost placed cities in Sweden. It's the biggest northern placed city in Sweden. And here we have some of the things that makes this destination unique. The Sami culture. The Sami culture spreads across from Russia all over to Norway on the top end of the country. But each country have their own Sami culture. And this is actually one of the places that you can really experience the authentic Sami culture, with getting to know them, trying their foods, talking to them. They can also explain to you about how the Sami people are, and we can create Sami-inspired dinners as well in the traditional Sami huts. Ice Hotel. This is probably the most iconic attraction in the region, and I will talk more about this afterwards. It's not just a hotel, it's a full-on experience, and it's a very, very cool hotel. Adventures. A good thing about Kiruna is that there are less crowds, which means that this is actually easier to get the adventures, and you don't have to stand in line where it can usually get that in Finnish Lapland, or it's very more crowded, much more people. So one thing is For adventures here, you have the snowmobile tracks. Usually these are very short, but our snowmobile tracks with our partner is up to 25 kilometers. So you can cover a lot of ground and you can do activities along the way as well. Northern Lights is obviously one of the major reasons international guests want to visit Swedish Lapland. But we don't really just say, go and watch the Northern Lights. We usually completely build an experience around it, which is transportation, location, food, storytelling, atmosphere, but I'll get into this as well. Something that's really interesting about Kiruna is that it's actually moving. So there is a big iron mine. It extracts so much iron that they can actually build 6 Eiffel Towers a day. And this means that they need to dig even deeper. So they're actually starting to dig under the city, under the old part of the city. So they're moving the city a kilometer and a half to the east, where they're building the new city center. Just recently, last year, they moved the 600-ton church on wheels to the other side of the city. So this is also something that's really unique to see a city that's actually moving. And a big part of this is actually the second time they do it. But the Sami people are used to moving because they are nomads. So whenever they were told you need to move, they were like, okay, let's do that. They've done this their whole life. So this was not a big issue for them. Dogs. Big thing. Everyone loves dogs, I think. It's an important part of the Lapland experience, whether it's arriving by dog sled or heading into the wilderness with the dogs. Much of these experiences are built around dogs as well. We work with really restricted partners, which works really well with the dogs and maintains them in a really good manner as well. Why Swedish Lapland or Finnish Lapland? This is one of the things that I will just quickly cover because obviously it's 2 very similar destinations. But Swedish Lapland offers a very strong feeling of authenticity. The landscape, the local communities, and the Sami culture and traditional activities are very much part of the destination. So it's not really about saying one destination is better than the other, but it's kind of what experience you would want to have with the groups here. One of the best places in the world to watch the Northern Lights is in a city called Abisko, which is 30 minutes from Kiruna, where we host our groups. So a really good chance of seeing the Northern Lights. And the Northern Lights works in waves, so it peaks every 11th year. We had the 11th year last year, so it's going a bit down, but these next few years will be amazing Northern Lights, and then it will go up again in a few years. The iconic attraction is the Ice Hotel, as I mentioned as well, the scale of the wilderness and the Sami culture and less crowds. So this feels less like a theme park and more authentic experiences. So this is why you should choose the Swedish part of Lapland. So jumping quickly on to the Ice Hotel. This is something that's really unique to the destination. What's really unique is that they actually have rooms that are there year round, but they also have 20 rooms that they build every year from the ice that's running in the river just next to it. So they take on, in the summer, they take up the water and they build the blocks on site in the big warehouse that they have, and then they build the rooms. And whenever the ice melts, it melts into the river and they recreate the rooms again. So every year artists go there and they build suites. So they always look different every year. It's very artistic and it's really, really beautiful to be there. The rooms are fantastic. They also have 72 warm rooms if you're not that adventurous. So if you have someone in the group who wants to sleep warm, it is possible as well. So don't worry too much about that. But 126 rooms in total combined, 54 of them are cold. There is a capacity chart at the end as well, so you will see. And one thing that's also important for this is they actually have meeting facilities up to 65 people. Warm, don't worry. It's not in the cold. So you don't have to sit for a meeting in 3 hours in -8 degrees. And how it works is you get equipment when you arrive at the hotel, equipment that you wear throughout the time that you're staying at the Ice Hotel. We usually recommend 1 night. It is an experience, but it's not something that you want to hang out in the room. It is really cold. I'm not going to lie. It is really, really cold, but it's not when you're sleeping because you get the reindeer hinds and you get the nice sleeping bags and you get the warm clothes that you can sleep in. So it's actually a really pleasant experience to try out. So this is something that's really strong and a strong selling point, especially for our incentives, because they are it's bucket list for many people to try and sleep in a nice hotel. It's basically big igloos, but it's something nice to say that I've tried and sleeping in a nice hotel, and it's the world's first ice hotel, so it's just a perfect example of what you want from an incentive experience. exclusive, local, difficult to replicate anywhere else, and guests will remember it for a long time. Coming on to the other hotels, I'm going to explain about hotels here, and I'm going to do that because the capacity is as it is. It's not a big city. The airport is 7 minutes away, so it's a very quick transfer to the city center. Scandic Kiruna just opened 2022. It has 238 rooms, 31 rooms, sorry. Nice views, nice rooms. It's a really nice hotel, so we can definitely host bigger groups in there as well. The Elite Hotel Frost just opened 2 years ago, so very new as well. It has a spa on the rooftop, so this is more for the ones that want a bit more of a luxury product. It's still a 4-star hotel, but it's 4-star plus, whereas Scandic is a 4-star hotel. So if you have a group that wants a bit more of luxury, this is the hotel that they need to go to. So these are the 2 highlight hotels. These are new hotels. They are located in the new city center just across from this. I think this picture of the hotel is actually taken from Scandic, so that's how close they are to each other. Yeah. Let me get into the experiences, because hotels we can always talk about. So one thing that's really unique to Kiruna as well is immediately when you land in the airport, you can be greeted by these husky dogs that can bring you to the ice hotel if you take the first night at the ice hotel. So how that works is you go across the road with a guide, of course, and then they will bring you all the warm clothes that you need, and a bus will take all your luggage. So it's basically jumping on a dog sled and then being brought to the ice hotel. It takes an hour and 15 minutes, an hour and a half, but this is just a really, really unique way to start your incentive right from the airport. Yeah, so very, very cool. I've tried it and it's fantastic. We can't talk about Lapland without talking about the Northern Lights. This is one of the classic Lapland experiences. This is where we head out by snowmobiles with minimum light pollution. And as I mentioned before, this part of Lapland is one of the best places in the world to watch the Northern Lights. So of course, there's never a guarantee, but we've had many groups up there, and I think it's only happened one time that they didn't get to see the Northern Lights. So don't worry too much about that. And as I mentioned, this will be from late November until beginning of April. This is the time that you would want to go to Kiruna. Meeting the reindeer. The reindeer is the main animal actually in the Lapland and the region for the Sami people. The Sami people used to live with the reindeer. So in the summer, the reindeers are in the mountains, and in the winter, they're in the valley. And all reindeers in Lapland is owned by someone. So there's no wild reindeers. You can always tell because they have one clip in one ear and a clip in the other ear. And you can see on how their ears have been cut. People know whose reindeer this is, but they always come back into the valley every year. So they are not fenced in. They're not in any environment where they can't walk freely. What we can do is we can actually go sledding with them. You can do reindeer racing because they are actually competitive animals, so they would love to race against each other, which is quite fun. But you also get to see how the Sami people used these reindeers back in the days and still do up until this day. So the last real nomads, or the last Sami nomads, was up until 1965, where they were actually living in tents and not part of normal society. So they were still living as nomads, and they still have nomadic tendencies to this day as well. Dog sledding, obviously a fantastic addition to an incentive going on dog sleds. And as again I mentioned, we work only with suppliers that are certified and that works well with the dogs, and that has certifications that the dogs are being treated well. And I visited a few of these husky farms, and some, which is really unique to this one, is that when you go to the husky farms, the huskies are completely quiet. The dogs are completely quiet. Usually when you go to a dog kennel, you know how that sounds. So that's also a main thing, that these animals are actually kept really really safe. But in this experience, we can do it in the evening for all the lights. We can do it during the day. We can do it for 1-2 hours. We can do it for 6 hours. We can do really lots of different things in terms of the dog sledding. It can be tailored to however your needs are. Next one, Lapland is of course a big part of the sauna community as well. What we can do here is you can do a cold water dip, you can then jump into the sauna at the ice hotel. Is actually where this ritual is being made. So also an addition which is very local, but it's also one of the smaller ones that you can add as an extra or an optional activities, because I'm not sure everyone would jump in the icy waters. I know I would, probably Carol as well, maybe. Would probably jump in the cold water as well.
I would give it a try, maybe.
Yes, that's what I know. Staying by the ice hotel as well, ice sculpting class. This is actually the very ice that the ice hotel is built on, the same ice that you can actually go do ice sculptures. You'll get all the tools and you'll get an instructor to tell you how to do these figures. This is also quite a fun experience also. Wilderness skills. This is where you actually learn to live in the cold environment. So you can get tips and tricks, and an instructor will tell you how to light a fire in minus 30 degrees, or how you can stay warm, and all these wilderness skills that you would probably need if you were to go into the wild on your own. Ice fishing, this can be done in relation to a snowmobile trip or in relation to a dog sled trip, where you can try out ice fishing, and there will of course be fika on the way. There you will get a cup of coffee and some nice snack to stay warm as well during the trip. But this is also something that's really cool and for the northern region, that you can go ice fishing as well. As mentioned earlier, the Kiruna mine is something that's, the whole city is built around this. This is the iron mine that I told you about, and why the city is moving. You can go visit them, and it's actually 2 kilometers below ground. So you'll be picked up by a bus, and it will drive you all the way down, and they can explain to you how they work and how they extract the iron, and how the city works as well. This is a traditional Sami labu. This is what the tent is called, or a tipi, if you may. What we usually do is we bring groups on a remote space where we have chefs preparing traditional Sami food. You can see the northern lights if they're out. And this picture on the left is from a group that we had this February. Actually, it was fantastic northern lights on top of the. And this is just something that people will remember forever, which is one of the main reasons why we do incentives, is also to leave a lasting memory. And it's something that your clients will always remember, the time that they stood outside and saw the northern lights, or they were on reindeer sled, or they saw the dog sleds, and they went ice fishing, and all these different things that are bucket list things for many, many people. You can combine into a weekend, I would say. And I will just show you quickly a video here of a recent incentive that we've had there. So yeah, and here I will send you the presentation afterwards. You see all the capacities as well. I won't go into too much detail in that, but you will find it at the end, where I have the recommended group size, the size of the hotels, and all these different things that is necessary for you to know as well. So yeah, I think if you have any questions, I see there's still a few minutes to go, but I'm sure we're on time.
Thank you very much, Nikolai. Wow. This is a really once in a lifetime experience. I think there were amazing visuals. Yeah, please, anybody has questions, please feel free. While you are still thinking about it, maybe I have actually one. When is the ice hotel being built? On which period is it usually there? Does it start in December already, in November?
Yes. So actually a unique thing about that is the capacity increases during the season as they build more rooms, but they start to build them in late October when they're sure that it's going to be freezing all the time. And then the capacity starts building from that afterwards. But they start in late October and they're at full capacity in beginning of January.
Okay. There's a question. The Skido, is it off-road possible or only on tracks?
Both. With our, he has his own track that he uses, but he can also tailor it so we can go somewhere else. He spends a lot of his time in the mountains with fishing groups and incentive groups and all these things. So he has his own trail that no one else uses, but he also can do off-roading on the snowmobiles and the dog sleds as well.
Can you tell us something about the average budget you would need for, I assume it's going to be 2 nights you spend there. What is your experience, Nikolai?
Yeah, so what we usually do is we bring the group to the ice hotel the first night. It's an amazing experience. And then we bring them to either Scandic or Elite or wherever they want to stay afterwards. And for that, I would say with good amount of packed activities, we can build a program around 3,000 euros per person.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think one needs to know, of course, that you can't. There's no direct flight. I think that we need to mention, but which is probably
you need to go over Stockholm or Copenhagen on the way there.
At the moment there isn't, but flight-wise, a lot of things are changing. But
well, the more goods that comes there, the better the flight connections will probably be.
Yeah, that's true. And then, can you tell us what are the main differences between Finnish Lapland and Swedish Lapland? I mean, the 3 takeaways. I think authenticity is probably one of them, that it's not as touristy as you said earlier.
Yes, crowds is a big thing. And I would say also in terms of budgeting and in terms of the currency in Sweden, the currency is not doing too well, which is good for everyone else but the Swedes. This means that you can usually come in at a lower rate. You escape the crowds and it's more authentic experiences. I would say those are the 3. And we're not... For the Finnish Lapland, is usually, for instance, let's say the snowmobiles is more of it's a shorter track and it's usually very busy. So it feels less theme park and less Santa Claus, I would say, is the main differences.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes.
You saw the question. Sorry, Nikolai, you see the questions. Yeah, is Kiruna the main destination in Swedish Lapland? Yes, it is, I guess.
Yes.
There's one more up somewhere very much up north, isn't it?
Yeah.
There
is another place called Avitsjur, which is where probably many German car brands go, because there you can do driving on the ice. So that's also a destination up there,
Yeah, but the infrastructure there is more Wild West, I think.
Yes,
not
right.
so elaborate as maybe as a hotel. That's really when you want to go do the ice driving.
Yeah. No, it's not possible in Kiruna to do the ice driving.
No. Okay.